Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On today's episode of Unsung Heroes Essay, we have Denzel Pedro Smit. Welcome, Denzel.
Well, thank you, Sean. Thank you very much for the invitation, and it's great to be here.
Lovely. Well, today, like your question while we were offline, what makes you an unsung hero? You a motivator, an enabler, as it were. You've also been involved with the Ubuntu soccer team, and you are well known internationally. You've done various interviews with people. You've gone overseas to learn. John Maxwell comes to mind, and then you've been all over Africa. Can you tell us a little bit about this, Dins?
Well, I'm going to say that when you and once you have discovered who you are and you aligned it with your purpose, it creates these opportunities for you to go and serve and be the best you in those spaces. So the traveling comes by virtue of what I do. So I always say my name is like Denzel Pedro Smit, and I do people. So when the need arises, it always arises where people are and wherever they are. So that gives me the advantage, the opportunity to travel. So it comes by virtue of what I do.
And also part of your job, basically your job description, as it were, is you work with people.
I do people. So wherever people are, if the phone rings and it's a call from Macedonia, from Mitchell's Plain, from yeah, and
It's like this one lady said, if it's from Lavis, Bishop Lavis or Bishop's Court, it's the same bishop. So you, when the need is there, you will go and do that.
yeah, I don't know now with things developing. We travel internationally online or virtually. So
Oh yes, with the
yeah,
COVID. COVID must have had quite an influence in your daily routine, as it were. You've obviously embraced technology a little bit more, and I know that you're using the platform Zoom, etc. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
oh yeah, COVID. The one thing COVID has taught me is to dig deeper in terms of my potential, because I believe we use about, and I want to be very radical, about 2% of our potential or 20% of our potential. There is so much more to us that is undiscovered because circumstances has never pushed us or guide us to go deeper into what it is that we are capable of doing. So COVID has taught me that if I apply myself, I can become technically savvy. While I was up and about in traveling, there was not such a great need to dig into the Zooms, the Teams, the technology. But once you apply your mind, oh my word, I can even do this. So that's one of the great things about COVID and its introduction.
It's spin-offs, as it
The
were.
spin-offs. That is so true. Another thing is I'm saving so much money traveling, and that kind of thing, coffee, money out there spending, and so there's a lot of benefits that COVID, as crazy as it might sound, has brought along with it.
Absolutely. And I think also it's a new way of thinking because a lot of our people are working from home now. It's no longer going out on the streets, being in traffic, sitting for an hour, going to work. So that stress level, which is part of your job, trying to reduce the stress of people, it is also been done by in a bit of COVID. So in a sense, COVID has also had a good spin-off benefit. And in terms of that, I'm just leading you on here, is that even our environment has improved. Our dams are 100% full. Maybe not COVID, I don't know, but it could also be. What would your take be on that?
You know what? I want to go back to something that you said, Sean. You said that it's introduced us to a new way of thinking. So, did you know, and this is a Chappie's moment, that as people, we don't think intentionally. We tend to go back to that which we know. Somebody shouts fire and we want to run. Nobody pauses and says, okay, where's the fire? Do I have to run? How can I help to extinguish? Is the fire outside? And Rain, you take an umbrella, you just react. COVID has taught me how to think intentionally in terms of thinking creatively. When your income is reduced to almost nothing, you find you make the time to think creatively. You engage in your creative ability to find possible solutions.
Lovely.
It makes you, it really made and still makes me think, how can I do things differently that's still in line with my purpose, but that just presents what I have differently.
Lovely. Denzel, I want to take you back just a little bit in terms of where did it all start? Where did Denzel start? Where were you born? What was your education? At what high school were you? What varsity you were? I know that you were a lawman and you decided afterwards, no, that's not for you, and you decided to do something completely different. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where it all started? Who was the role players in your life? Who played that moment where it said, I must go do this, and this is the guy that I look up to, and this is how I want to be? Could even be an actor, but I'm just saying. Denzel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sean, where it started a long time ago. I can't remember how many years ago. No, 58 years ago when I was born. And growing up was very easy for me because and I say easy because I was protected in the sense that I grew up in a Christian home where everything happened in a Christian bubble. So going to school would be going to school, going to family would be going to family, going to church would be going to church, and nothing outside really mattered to me because I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't introduced to the social evils, politics, or any of those kind of happenings out there. So I was very protected. So my whole life basically was churches until I got to, say, high school. So 76, that year, 76, I was in standard 6, and then of course we had this running away from tear gas and gaspers and having to run for safety and things. And
I'm just going to interrupt you because I've noticed something very peculiar and interesting with my previous people that was on the show. You all more or less the same age. I think 58, 1976 being the time that you were introduced to activism, basically. Unintentionally, some of them, and some of them intentionally. But you seem to vibe with this general thing of 76. This is crazy.
For me, Sean, because that was so in my face, I had to run, and I asked the question, what's happening? I couldn't find the answers at home because at home they said, don't get involved, make sure you come home. Because when you turn your back, or not turn your back, you put your head in the sand like an ostrich, it doesn't mean whatever's happening around you is going to go away. When you pop your head, it's still there. But our generation, or my parents and that generation around, and in the context of the church we grew up, was that there's the world and the church. So everything outside is worldly. Stay away from it. And sadly, when 76 hit, the answers were not inside in the house. Okay? The answers I had to find out about political awareness, what's happening. And that is when I thought, like, okay, my world is more to what's happening in the world that affects me than what I knew. And that is where that journey of involvement, or how can I, not even how can I be involved, how am I involved? Since this is affecting me, what is my role here? And that is where my curious mind started developing.
I'm going to just sort of mention something interesting, and it touches on your point about the church, your homely conditions, and the worldly things out there. you know Bridget very well because you guys were in the same church. And she mentioned to me that in her household was very churchly as well. She didn't even know that there was townships outside. You know, she saw there's people coming to help in the house, or there's a gardener, but she didn't know the outside world because it was church, it was going on a Sunday, coming home, being dressed, going with her sisters and the one brother and so on. And that little bubble sometimes get burst. And like you said, you can take your head out of the sand. It's not going to go away, it's still there. So you put your head in the sand, it's gone, but the minute you take it out, it's still there. And that is exactly your point that you were making earlier.
And you see, so Sean, that is the reality. And hear my heart. I appreciate the sound doctrine, the sound teaching, the examples of my parents, and the way they taught me and introduced me to Christianity. I am so grateful for it. But there is more to that. In that, I started asking the question, how can I then, as a church person, as a Christian, contribute towards what's happening outside there? And I will never forget, so throughout my high school years at Westridge, so when I started running from tear gas and Caspers, I was in Retreat, Crestway High or Steamboat number 2, and we moved to Mitchell's Plain then. You know, we had to move to Mitchell's Plain, and there when I got to Westridge High, 77 to 80s, it was crazy, because 76 started and it never ended. It never ended. So there my curious mind started like reaching out to, okay, so how can I help? How can I get involved? And I discovered that the voice which I was encouraged and I had exercised and developed within the church, okay, I can now put to use outside. I was often told I was born with the gift of the gab, and I used that gift in hindsight, firstly for personal gain, because I wasn't always as fabulous. I was a very selfish person and I used to manipulate and things like that. And secondly, I voiced my political conviction as a Christian in that public. And I will never forget it. It was in 1979. I went on a camp where I met Uncle Alan Busak, okay? And I asked this question as a clergyman. Tell me, how can the church, or how should the church be involved in politics? And we had that conversation. And that's where I thought, okay, I have got a very important, a direct commission to be involved and be a difference maker. So my approach to politics and societal evils has been one of a person who knew that he has a responsibility to contribute towards the solution. I'm not the solution. What I have is not the solution. But we all have a duty to use our gifts and our talents to contribute towards a solution.
Lovely. It also fits in with your biblical teachings. If you look at Jesus, for instance, and his role in society at the time, he would have been sort of, if you take him in today's world, he would have been an activist. Because he challenged the system.
He was an activist. He advocated for the poor, for the downtrodden, for discarded ones. He activated for them. And he was radical, and he was an outcast even by the church of the time. So that is, you asked about role models. If I want to say, okay, so who is, that should be, if I'm a so-called Christian, that should be my number one role model. I should be following in his footsteps, as it were. Okay, but it is just so that, unfortunately, even today, we find our way of escape sometime in the church, where we can blind ourselves, close our eyes and say, okay, no, I'm here, I'm doing my bit here. Whereas I believe that the church should be the forerunners in bringing change, whether it's on the political front, the sports front, the business front. because we claim to have the principles, the values that can bring a change. So, but a conversation for another day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Denzel, I'm going to take you a little bit through your journey, and you at some stage you joined the Ubuntu soccer team, and your contribution there was immediately seen as well, because I think of previous discussions that we had that the morale almost, you were boosting it with your talks to them. Can you tell us a little bit about
Okay,
that?
so let me tell you, you spoke earlier about me being involved in the law. So after school, I never went to university immediately. I went to work, blah, blah, blah. And at some point, I went to study full time to become an attorney. Very well. I did that, I enjoyed that. But on that, during that journey, Sean, I realized that to me, people matters more than they matters, whether legal issues or whatever. There's more to people than what's going on around them. So I made a conscious decision that I'm going to stop practicing law and look at the well-being of the person holistically, and how I can contribute their development. So if you're okay, then there's a greater chance of you dealing with your situation and your matters differently. So that took me on a journey of personal development. I closed the practice and I started the company called Zcan Solutions with the slogan that says develop to develop. So I develop with the intention to help others to develop. Long story short, I then subsequently became a coach, teacher, speaker in the area of personal development with leadership and. So that journey exposed me to the point where I was invited by an organization called Sports Chaplaincy South Africa. And what they do is they provide chaplains to different sporting codes to come alongside the players, most probably in most cases off the pitch, off the tennis court, off the table tennis board, and start serving them in those areas of needs and concerns that the coach, the football coach, the tennis coach can't really see them to. Okay, so this kind of thing is I'm present, I'm there,
Can I
and
Denzel, just give me a second quickly. Sorry.
so with regard to Ubuntu and how I got there was chaplaincy as placed me with Ubuntu FC Cape Town to serve as a chaplain. So all I do is I hang around with intent to offer pastoral and spiritual and any kind of coaching on personal development and well-being to the players. And that is basically my involvement. So I'm a guest there and I just hang around until they say have a seat or can we talk? And so I just hang around and
I think you've actually seen quite a bit of improvement and difference in their performance since you've been there as well.
Well, I can think of specific cases where players came to me and they call me Chappie and they say, Chappie, can we talk? And we would have a discussion and it will be something absolutely, completely not related to football. So we would talk relationships, we would talk about internal issues that they have with other players, we would talk about concerns about families that they have back home, because you must know these professional players get scouted and they get signed, so they leave their homes many a time. So how do I relate? We talk about just anything. How do I deal with my injuries and the fact that I might not even get back to full fitness where I can play? What about my income? How do I deal with? So there are so many issues of life that we address that it just brings a kind of peace of mind that when a player takes the pitch, all those other concerns is on the outside and they can focus. It just makes a difference.
Wow. One thing that's part of your dealings is the idea of teamwork. There's no I in teamwork, and I think part of your whole message that you try to bring out there, and especially to people, is that once you work in a team, you have to contribute to that team, and I think that is part of.
You see, the key is about taking the I that you know, I am, and making it available to become part of the we. That's very important. If you find people without a sense of identity, not understanding who they are in terms of character and values and skills and strengths, they will never understand how they can contribute to a team. I always say, if you look at a jigsaw puzzle, every piece is unique, and that piece understand that it has a place in completing the whole puzzle. So as soon as I step into my place, I'm okay. That's my place. That's my contribution. That's my value. And those around me has its own value, and they are okay or should be okay. There's no competition. So the I becomes part of the we. We need to understand that it's important for us to move from being I-centric to becoming we-centric.
And also, on that point, is if you take that one puzzle piece away, the puzzle is incomplete.
Incomplete. You know, it's, in fact, it becomes useless.
Absolutely.
It becomes useless.
Absolutely.
So if we understand the use and the value of who we are as individuals, once we understand that, we can be greater contributors of value in a team.
Lovely. Denzel, I want to take you quickly just a little bit further, and I want to say that you've rubbed shoulders with a lot of important people. A couple comes to mind, like I mentioned earlier, John Maxwell. We mentioned people like Rampela. I always get it wrong. I know. Can you just elaborate on a few people that you've met and that you've crossed in your journey, and some of them even used your services?
Man, Sean, again, as you go on the journey and you add value and you develop, the impact will determine who calls you next. You know, like with the exposure, people ask, who's that? And what is it that? But I also first had to figure out who's doing what I would like to do out there, and then start following them. So in my search for growth and development in the area of coaching or leadership or personal development, I have identified a few people who I want to learn from. For example, locally, I've invited and asked Professor Jonathan Jansen if I could walk with him, if he would work as a mentor. By all means, he said. I've got a personal coach who's now more than a friend, and he kicks my butt occasionally, is Dr. Gilbert Dennis, who's a coach. So I go to him occasionally, how am I doing? Or he would call me, how are you doing? And we would have that. And on that journey, I've also discovered the likes of John C. Maxwell. I thought, man, this is fantastic. I started following, and I did the training. Very fortunate to be traveling to the US to get certified, and I came back and I started working. And in that time when I provided the services, I was invited to come and contribute. Okay, and when I found myself, for example, in Joburg a couple of years ago, I found myself sharing the stage with Robert Kawasaki, Les Brown, A.V. Hawker, and I thought, oh my word. And now I am, like you saying, rubbing shoulders. But I also had to be very secure in understanding why I'm there and how I got there. Because it can be very overwhelming. You can become a junkie, you can become, oh my word, I'm with this Owens and I need to. No, you are there because you have worked your way to that platform.
And also you provide value to
exactly that. Again, that piece of the puzzle, and you come and add and you complete the picture. And from there, I got invitations from people in Paraguay to serve them as a coach, and I went to Kenya.
And just on this, you're talking about coaching, there's two coachings that you're doing. On the one side, there's life coaching, and on the other side, there's soccer coaching, almost like a pastor in the soccer field.
Okay, so I'm not a soccer coach. Don't I love the game?
Okay.
And this is the thing, the coaching as a soccer coach and understanding coaching in its totality is another conversation. So the coaching, as you would call it, life coaching, is really got nothing to do with being an expert in the field that you're coaching your clients. So if
Okay.
you are a confectioner,
Okay.
baking things, I don't have to be a confectioner in order to coach you.
Okay.
I might be your mentor, but in order for me to be your mentor, I must be a qualified confectioner as well.
Okay.
You see, but the coaching is, okay, whoever the client is comes, and this kind of coaching that I do facilitates that process that says, I'm stuck here, how can I become unstuck and get to who and where I want to be? That's the coaching that I'm kind of do. So life coaching is, how can I become unstuck from where I am to where I would like to be? So that's the kind of coaching that I provide. So therefore I can provide it to soccer players, tennis players, rugby players, cricket players, doctors, lawyers, politicians, and yeah. So and also it's very important to understand that as a coach, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a legal advisor. I am a coach. So you don't advise, you don't give your expert opinion because you're not an expert, you're a coach. So you use your coaching ability to help them along.
But it definitely helps with all your experience that you have in law and others.
Oh my word.
And it just helps so much more.
So let me tell you about that. The more you know, the more you think you must contribute. As a coach, your role is to shut up about what you know. My legal expertise is based on my journey. Wherever this attorney is based on his or her journey. So I've got to facilitate that conversation so that they can find within themselves the solution to their path being much, much smoother. My advice is useless. It's not asked for. It's not needed because my advice comes from my journey. My journey is my journey. Their journey is their journey. However, if I have a young, like last night, I had a student, a grade 9 learner, asking me, what does it take to become a good lawyer? And then I could use my legal expertise and background and advise him. Different story. I wasn't coaching. I was advising him based on the fact that I am an attorney, not practicing anymore, but this is it. So there's a clear difference between coaching and then mentoring or teaching in the area of expertise, okay, or wherever that expertise finds itself.
Okay. What do you find where your niche is for the life's coaching? And I'm asking this question specifically to enhance your business as well. So for instance, one of my clients sees this now, or one of my viewers see it, and they say, oh Denzel, that's a good idea, life coaching. I need life coaching. Who do you target? Can somebody, grade 9 kid, come to you and say, Denzel, I need your services, I'm willing to pay for it. Can you life coach me to become somebody of importance or relevance in society? Or do you focus specifically, like I said, the doctor that has a problem, they want to create an environment in their business where people now can work better with each other, like you said, the teamwork, the I, but the we. Where do you focus where's your focus on in your business that you've got?
Both of them, the young learner and the doctor, are potential clients. However, in my business, I'm not about fixing people. Remember, I said I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not and. So I am not in the business of fixing people. People coming with baggage, coming with depression, coming with that. No. They are experts to deal with that. I'm coming to a young man or woman, or an older man or woman who has got their situations together, and they say, I'm stuck. I want to be a better me. I want to reach to the next level. I want to take my business to the next level. I want to take myself to the next level. How can we talk? And that is where it's not about fixing. It's about facilitating the process to you becoming a better you. So if the young learner or graduate comes to me and says, this is it, we are going to ensure that you are very clear where you are and where you want to be. Not what's wrong with you. And okay, let me first fix you and then we can take you. No, I'm not in the fixing business. And I say it respectfully. I do listen to whoever comes with a concern, a problem, and we would very often refer. So now go and see that. And once you have got your story after Makan, you know, this is who I am. Let's move to where I want to be.
Lovely. Denzel, I'm going to take it a little step further and throw you in the deep end a little bit and say that our society has problems. You know, you mentioned now you're not a problem fixer, but at the end of the day, a lot of us get stuck because of the system that we're in. There's a two-point question is, how do you get your client to move past that? And then the second question on that is, what is your thinking on how to solve this problem? How do we fix society? How do we fix the system to make it better? We know there's a lot of things wrong. We know that there's a lot of, what do they call it, prosecutions going on at the moment, thank goodness. 10 people's just been arrested, high-profile people. So we're seeing some hope, some glimmer of hope, and hopefully society will then move in that direction. But you as a life coach, you can give advice and you can see things a little bit clearer than the normal person like me. How do you think, there was two parts to the question, how do you think you can take that person in this environment and push them forward? But also, how do you open the environment and say, listen, we need to open this and this and this. We need to put in money in this type of thing. Put in money in your business that you can coach more people type of thing, and maybe have a permanent place for you in our government or wherever, or in our business. I'm leading you on here, but you the man, you the expert.
So Sean, firstly, how can I fix society is the question, okay? As an individual.
Yes.
I've come to learn that there's one particular thing that disturbs everybody in society, something that irks you. And it's my belief that that which irks you the most, you are called to change. Okay? I can't change all the systems. I can't change. If I, for example, look at, I hate people without integrity, as an example. It irks me when people don't have integrity. So the question would be then, Denzel, according to you, what does integrity look like to you? And how can you show me what a life of integrity look like? Because according to me, that would be your contribution to changing the system. You can't go, I say this carefully, you can't go in there and want to destroy and build again. You've got to give society an example of what the right thing looks like. And the best way to do it is to model that in your going. And that's why I'm so strong on the slogan that I have, the tagline, lead from where you are. Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you would like to see. So we need to, again, develop ourselves, grow into this image of what we would like to see society look like. And imagine you do your bit where you are, she does her bit where you are, he does his bit, and we see all these beautiful models of what society should look like popping up all. The current system, the more you focus on the right, that which you focus on expands. The current corrupt system and what it will fade. Yes, the hawks are swooping down and doing wonders, but not without the gaps for further corruption and whatever. But you can't go, everyone, all of us cannot go in there to fix that which the public prosecution is not doing right. The politicians are not doing right. We can't, it's going to be a fight against, it's against fighting against thunder. Show them what should be done by creating these new models, the little Sean's growing into wow, that's it. The Denzel's growing into the wow, this is it. And that's why we have prominent people in our societies without titles that you, sir, can call upon and say, man, you're living such an exemplary. Come and show us how. And that is how it should be. The people out there doing what should be done without the titles, inconspicuous, just going about, they are the difference makers.
And I think on that point, and I just want to add in, is that the very purpose of this whole thing is to bring those not the little individuals that make that little change.
And this is what I want to say, Sean. Sorry for interjecting.
Yes, no, it's
this is what I want to say. People don't want to just hear there is hope, there's a possibility. People want to say, where? Show us how. And the likes of the people you have on your Unsung Hero platforms and many outside should be, and I'm going to say this, available to answer this question. How do you do that, Sean? How do you make it? How do you manage? And then just like spread that, the hows. I say, and I still believe that in Cape Town, let's keep it very narrow. In Cape Town, we don't have a lack of good leadership. We have a lack of generous leaders who will say, listen, come walk with me. Let me show you how it should be done.
Absolutely.
We need the generous people who can raise the younger ones and say, come on, let's show you. But we should also create an interest in the heart and mind of the younger people that say, I want to aspire to be like Sean. Let me go and find out how does he do it. So you're not just creating hope, you're also creating the solution, the step-by-step, how we can be difference makers.
Fantastic. Yeah, part of this purpose, and we were chatting offline earlier, is to actually mentor, have Denzel, and somebody sits here, audience member, and says, oh, wow, I want to be like Denzel. So part of this thing is you parting some of that knowledge that you've got, you parting to somebody younger than you, or even older, it doesn't really matter, but you're inspiring. And so far, all the people that were here were inspired people. And Denzel, I thank you for coming, and I thank you for spending your time with me. And I mean, your time is valuable. I mean, sometimes one forget about the cost of your time, and you being in the business of time. Part of your business is the people pay for the time that they actually spend with you, to give that willingly and generously to the benefit of South Africa, for that matter. But thank you so much.
Sure.
Is there something that you would like to still say, or
just before we close it and wrap it up, as you guys would say, that's a wrap. I want to say, you mentioned something about inspiring. Most people, and all of them who've been here has been inspiring. Number one, you cannot inspire without having been inspired. Okay? And one of the reasons why it's easy for me, and I say easy for me, to come and give of my time to contribute, because there are others who I went to who gave of themselves and their resources generously, freely, when I had the questions. So this is the thing, that which you have received, freely I have received, we can freely give. It is important that we spread the word. Give as we have received. I've come to learn that there are two kind of people in this life. One is a reservoir who takes and stores up and use for personal gain, and when the dam runs low, he goes and he fetch and fill up. The other one is a river. That which comes, you use, and the rest will flow. I want to be a riverman. Let it flow.
And also, on your sort of analogy of the previous one, is some of them take till it's empty and there's no more. They don't give back.
They don't give absolutely nothing back. Nothing. And if this is the little I can give back, now all means.
Denzel, I want to just, before we close, I want to mention this, and you can correct me. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I think The Professor Jonathan Jansen mentioned you as one of the influential people in Cape Town. I recall it was put in the paper at one stage.
Yes, I was so shocked. I was overwhelmed. It was the Madiba holiday, the 69 minutes and what, and he, in his wisdom, he has chosen 69 people that would be on his list of people who are serving in the spirit of Madiba. And I happened just to, I don't know, I snuck in, somebody
Snuck
just,
in, so
while he was
snuck
having coffee, somebody put my
Put
name
your
in
name
there,
on there.
and then sent me an invoice later. But yeah,
fantastic.
so it was great honor. I
it's
still
an honor.
regard that as one of the highest honors, you know, on my little journey.
Fantastic.
Sean,
Fantastic.
thank you so much, and I trust that your viewers are encouraged to be that change, develop into who they really are in terms of what they can contribute, and then continue to lead from where they are.
Oh, fantastic. Denzel, just before I shut down, I just want you to give your company's name again, your name and Denzel P. Smith, and then your cell phone number and your email address for if anybody requires this extra little bit that they want to do, change leadership, leadership for change. If they need, or their company need, maybe they can just contact you.
Okay, I'm very easily contactable. So it's Denzel Pedro Smit, Denzel Pedro Smit. And if you want to contact me via email, you just add at gmail.com. If you want to send me a WhatsApp or call me directly, the number is 071 328 3928. 071 328 3928. And you'll find me on Facebook under Denzel Pedro Smit.
Oh, fantastic.
Here we go.
Well done.
Thank you so much, Sean.
Lovely.
And I trust that you will prosper and find good fulfillment personally on this journey as you create this platform for us to add value. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much to you as well. Thanks, Denzel.
Cool.